AM 1430 KRGI 105.5 FM. Good morning. I'm Brian Gallagher, a guest in studio today from the Central District Health Department. Colette Evans is back here to talk about something that is not directly tied to the District Health Department, but is something that we need to be aware of. June is PTSD Awareness Month, and those are some of the things we're going to talk about specifically because PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder, is something that we hear about, we're learning more about, but for those who are affected by it, this is something that has a major effect on that. So first, welcome. It's good to have you here to talk about this a little bit. Let's talk about and explain, especially if folks don't know, what is PTSD?
Post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental health condition that's generally triggered by a terrifying event, either experiencing it or witnessing it, and people who experience post-traumatic stress disorder typically have flashbacks, nightmares, severe anxiety, and uncontrollable thoughts about the event that they witnessed or experienced.
And that's it. It's based on experience typically, and that's where some do not understand. There are those who may not have any effects at all, and then there are others that, when it pops up, these are the symptoms that we don't maybe recognize. Maybe we need to learn how to recognize these symptoms.
Yeah, post-traumatic stress disorder, when we think about that, we typically think about it in relation to veterans. And the reality is anybody can experience it. And I think that that's coming more to light, that anybody can experience that. But we do recognize it and acknowledge it and help veterans who have experienced post-traumatic stress disorder.
Are there certain behaviors that we should watch for?
There are. Typically, people who are experiencing PTSD are easily startled or frightened. They're on guard and ready for danger. They're engaging in self-destructive behaviors such as drinking or driving too fast. They have trouble sleeping, trouble concentrating. We see irritability or anger outbursts, and some experience overwhelming shame or guilt.
So if we see or think we see things like this, what should we do literally to try to help?
Encourage the person who's experiencing that to see either a physician or a mental health counselor, particularly one who specializes in treating people with PTSD. What we do see are people who experience suicidal thoughts or behaviors when they're going through an episode, and we would encourage a person who's seeing somebody do that never leave their side. Call 911 right away. There is a suicide hotline that's available, and then there's an extension that's available specifically for veterans, and that number is 1-800-273-TALK or 1-800-273-8255. And then for veterans, they would just press option 1 to be linked up with an appropriate health professional.
We are talking with Colette Evans from Central District Health Department. It's PTSD Awareness Month, and they're sharing some tips on things you can do. Perhaps you have someone in your life or know of someone who is experiencing some PTSD challenges, and none of us want to just walk away and say, I can't help. Yes, you can, and it can be simple. You mentioned important things, staying with them to try to lend some advice, even if you can lend an ear as much as you can. If you feel like it's becoming overwhelming, reach out to a healthcare professional. But more than anything, do what you can to help now. And even if it gets to a point where it can be a real test, maybe the emergency room is the right place to go.
Absolutely. If that's, if they're needing some medical care and it's urgent and you can get them there safely, you can take them to the emergency room.
Give that phone number one more time, the 800 number.
1-800-273-8255.
That's 1-800-273-TALK. Colette Evans from Central District Health Department here with some tips about PTSD Awareness Month. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Good morning from AM 1430 KRGI 105.5 FM.